2 Chronicles 16 and verse 9. The word of the Lord says, "For the eyes of the Lord run to and fro throughout the whole earth, to show himself strong in the behalf of them whose heart is perfect." Or many translations render that, whose heart is fully committed toward him. Whose heart is fully committed toward him. Originally, I had planned to minister about it. In fact, it was in the bulletin last week, and it's in there today. I planned to minister about our hope is in the Lord, based upon this great promise of this 9th verse. Isn't that a great one? For the eyes of the Lord run to and fro throughout the whole earth to show himself strong to them. Isn't that a great promise? Think about it. God, the Lord, he just looking through all of his people over the entire face of the earth. And he's just looking for somebody who's in need, or somebody that's going through something, or someone that's struggling, and he's just looking for that moment and that opportunity to show himself strong to them. Wow, what a great God. As I was studying, it hit me that this promise is not made just to everyone. It's not blanket coverage. It is not all-inclusive. It's sure not a name it, claim it, frame it kind of thing. Rather, it is deliberately specific. This verse tells us who this great promise is made to. It is made to them whose heart is perfect, to them whose heart is fully committed toward him. And so I felt, hey, that's where we need to start, by looking at this thing of commitment. Commitment. Our hearts, the word tells us, must be fully committed to him. And when that happens, then we can claim this promise. When our heart is fully committed to God, then we can expect God to show up and to show himself strong on our behalf. Commitment. Hearts that are fully committed to him. History shows that long-term commitments pay off. The sad thing is, in our present society today, technology is speeding up the pace of change, and people are more and more reluctant to make long-term commitments. They really are. We don't want to be committed to anything. We don't want to be committed to a long-term job, to a long-term marriage, to long-term investments. We sure don't want to be committed to the cable company or DirecTV or cell phone agreements that stretch out over 2 years. We don't like long commitments. We don't want to commit to church. We don't want to commit to anything. In fact, there is an attitude and a mindset out there today, I want to keep my options open. Hey, I just don't want to be tied down. I don't want to commit to anything. You know, life's a big buffet line, and I don't want to get to the end and say, man, I've filled my plate with all of the wrong stuff. I'm going to tell you this because I love you and because I'm concerned for you. Some of you listening to this message this morning are little more than spectators. Little more than spectators, because you will not commit. You will not commit to faithful church attendance, to giving consistently, to Christian service, or anything else. And I stand here and I say, that's tragic. It really is. It's tragic, because the fact of the matter is, you cannot live life without making commitments. You can't buy a house without a 15 or a 30-year contract. Commitment. You can't get married without making a commitment. You get a license and a ring and blood tests, a place to live, all of that stuff. Nothing great ever happens without making, get this, without making commitments. And if you go through life without making a commitment, you're just going to drift without any purpose. And so today, I want us to look at building a life of commitment. Building a life of commitment. And I want us to look at what the Bible, the Word of God, says about the power of commitment, the price of commitment, the pitfalls of commitment, and the payoff for commitment. And more than likely, we're only going to get to the first one, so relax. Number one, the power of commitment. What does the Bible, the Word of God, have to say about the power of commitment? And although you will not find that exact word in the Scriptures per se, the Bible does have a lot to say about the principles behind the subject of commitment. And you know what? The Word of God tells us that nothing affects your life more than the commitments that you choose to make. In fact, our commitments have three profound effects on our life. Number one, my commitments show my values. My commitments show my values. They show what I think is really important. They show what I really value. They show what I really love. And hey, there is no such thing as love without commitment. The essence of love is a commitment of oneself to the person to meet the needs of that individual, of that person. That's what love is all about. You cannot love without making commitments. And I may say something, man, this is really important to me, but the way I commit my time and the way I commit my money, it shows what is really important to me. I may say, for instance, well, my family is really important to me, but if I commit all of my time to my work and my time is not committed to my family, hear me, it shows what is really important. If I say my health is important to me, but I don't commit any of my time to taking care of myself, then it means my health, it's really not important to me. The uncommitted life really means nothing is important to me. That's what it means. Bottom line, nothing is important to me. If you don't make any commitments in life, you're basically saying the only thing that is really important to me is me. The uncommitted life in pure essence is selfishness. It's saying I don't consider anyone or anything or any cause in my life worthy of commitment. I am only committed to me. Do you know what that's called? It's called selfishness. Now, it's also true that you cannot be committed to everything. You ever try that? You can't be committed to everything. And so we come to this second thing. Since you have to make choices in life, and you can't be committed to everything, here it is. You have to choose your commitments. So my commitments not only show my values, number two, my commitments shape my life. My commitments shape my life. Listen to Proverbs 4:23. Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. I become whatever I'm committed to. Okay? Your life is the sum total of your commitments. If I believe that making money is the most important thing in life, then my life is going to be shaped by that. If I believe that being well-liked and popular is important, then my life is going to be shaped by that. if I think that having a good time is the most important thing in life, my life then is going to be shaped by that. You know, if I were able to sit down with you and have a 30-minute conversation, and if I were to say, tell me your commitments, just tell me what you're committed to right now. I can tell you what you're going to become in life. I can tell you what you are in life. I can tell you what you're going to be. I can tell you how you're going to end up if you live to old age. Because once you choose your commitments in life, your character's set. It is set in stone. So we better choose our commitments very, very carefully. And if you've never thought those things through, you may not like how you're going to end up. You may not like the end result if you haven't looked at those commitments. Commitments show not only my values, and they shape my life. Number 3, my commitments seal my destiny. My commitments seal my destiny. Jesus is speaking. Mark's Gospel, chapter 8 and verse 36. And Jesus said, for what shall it profit a man if he gain the whole world and he lose his own soul? Did you know that the destiny of nations is determined by the commitments that people make? The very fact that we are here today and we experience freedom here this morning to talk and to pray and to worship like this is because somebody made a commitment to, even the point of spilling their blood for it. Our freedom we enjoy was bought with a price. And in a personal way, the commitments that you make, that I make, they not only determine the here and the now, they also determine our eternity. Life here on this earth, 60, 80, 100 years, it's brief. It's brief compared to the span of eternity. If you develop a relationship with Jesus Christ, you're going to spend eternity with Him. And your rewards and your responsibilities are going to be based upon how you used your life here upon this earth. What you were committed to. Jesus said it like this: what will a man give in exchange for his soul? And that's a very, very important question, because every day of your life, you are exchanging your life for something. All of us here today, everybody who lives, we are all given just a certain number of minutes to live. The average human being lives 25,550 days. Every day that you wake up, you exchange your life for something. You really do. Some people exchange their life for TV. Some people exchange their life for trashy novels or porn or filthy movies or internet or TV or Facebook can become the consuming thing. All kinds of stuff. Some people exchange their life to do nothing. Have you ever told somebody, I tell it in the ladies' departments of stores when I'm with Linda a lot of times. Well, how are you doing? Oh, I'm just killing time. Just killing time. When you kill time, you're committing suicide, because your time is your life. Your time is your life. Your time is far more important than your money. Did you know that? It really is. You can always get more money, but you can't get more time. You have a certain number of minutes, all of us. You have a certain number of minutes. And wise people use their time wisely. Wise people plan how they're going to exchange their life. Hey, you're going to exchange your life for something. And wise people plan that exchange by making what we call commitments. Commitments. When you make a commitment, you are choosing, deliberately choosing how you're going to invest your life. You're choosing how you're going to spend your time. You're choosing what you're going to do with your resources. And if you don't get anything else, get this: every choice has a consequence. Every choice has a consequence. In life, every choice you make has a consequence. And I know it may seem at the moment the most insignificant thing in all of the world, but in the grand scheme of things, they all add up, and they all involve your time, and they all influence eternity. The choices and the commitments I make will show my values, will shape my life, and will determine my destiny. So it's very important that we learn to make wise commitments. And of course, the most important commitment that you and I, that anybody will ever make, is that commitment to Jesus Christ. But even that has a price tag. Every commitment, regardless of which one you make, has a price tag to it. And you have to weigh out the benefits, and you have to weigh out the payoff compared to the price tag that is attached to it. So what are the price tags? What are the costs of genuinely following Jesus? Well, Jesus is very upfront about it. He doesn't beat around the bush. He doesn't waffle on it. He's not vague. He just lays it out in Luke's Gospel, chapter 14 and verse 26. And a lot of us have a tough time getting on a handle on what he's saying here. But he says, if any man come to me and hate not his father and mother and wife and children and brethren and sisters, yes, and his own life, he cannot be my disciple. Jesus Christ is very clear and upfront about the cost of following him, about the cost of commitment. He's saying, I expect to have first place in your life. Number one, you have to love me more than anyone or anything else as far as life is concerned, if you really want to be my follower. That's pretty audacious, isn't it? He says you got to love him more than your parents, more than your husband, more than your wife, more than your kids, more than your own wife. That's a pretty high cost. That's a pretty expensive price tag. Have you ever picked something up and got the price tag where you see it and hung it back on the rack? It's a pretty expensive price tag. No human being would ever say that to you. And yet Jesus Christ, please hear me, commands complete and total loyalty. And the only difference is he has a right to it. No one else would ever tell you that, but he has a right to it, to ask you for that. Why? Well, he made you. He created you. He loves you. He has a plan for your life. He died on the cross for you. Nobody else in all of your life has ever done that. And nobody else can ever claim these three things: that you were made by them, that you were planned for a purpose by them, and that they died for you. Jesus says, I gave my life for you. I expect your life in return. I think he has a right to it. He says, I demand the first place in your life if you're going to be following me. Some people imagine their life as a pie. And Jesus is a slice of that pie. We got a career slice, and a relationship slice, and a sex life slice, and a leisure and pleasure slice, and goals and ambitions and dreams slice and a family slice and, oh yeah, got my Jesus slice. There's a name for that. We call it compartmentalization. Compartmentalization. You know what Jesus says to that? He says, no thank you. No thank you. I'm not interested in that. I don't want to be just a slice of your life. I don't want to be just a part of your life. I want to be number one. Hear me, Jesus Christ is not an appendage that you just tag on as an afterthought. I'll be honest, you can throw stones later, I like country music. Always amazed me, country western TV shows. They'd sing a song about cheating and a song about drugs and a song about truck driving, and then they'd take their hats off and say, well, now it's time for a little gospel. Like they were trying to appease the whole audience, the whole crowd. You know, let's shack up, let's get stoned, and now let's sing Amazing Grace. Tag it all on there. Hear me. If Jesus Christ is not Lord of all of your life, He is not Lord at all in your life. You're kidding yourself. You're kidding yourself. You ought to really question, do I really know Christ? Do I really know Him? C.S. Lewis said it like this. This is a great quote. If Christianity is untrue, then it's unimportant. That's obvious. That's a given. If the Bible's a lie, if all this is a myth, if it didn't really happen, if Jesus really isn't God, and He didn't rise from the dead and all of that stuff, here's my question. What are we doing here this morning? Huh? Why did we come here today? Let's all go home. There are plenty of other things to do on a Sunday morning. I need to mow my yard. Why did we come here this morning? If it's untrue, it's unimportant. On the other hand, if Christianity is true, if Jesus is the Son of God, if He did die upon the cross for my sins, hear me, then it is of the ultimate importance. And it deserves more than half-hearted surrender and commitment. It deserves everything that you and I've got. Everything. It is of the ultimate importance. It's more important than your job. It's more important than your family. It is more important than your career. It is more important than your goals. It is more important than your good times. It is the most important thing that there is if it is true. Again, C.S. Lewis said, the only thing Christianity cannot be is moderately important. The only thing Christianity cannot be is moderately important. It's either all or nothing. It either demands and deserves everything that I've got. Everything that I've got, or let's all go home. The one thing it cannot be is moderately important. The phrase casual Christianity is a contradiction. There is no such thing. It's like saying I'm half pregnant. Or I'm half dead. No, you're either alive or you're dead, and if you're alive, you're still alive. You may be sick, but you're alive. You're either pregnant or you're not. And Jesus Christ is either the Lord of your life or He's not the Lord of your life. Don't kid yourself. Don't play games. Don't try and fabricate a Christian lifestyle to your liking instead of God's liking. Jesus says, this is the cost. This is the cost. Listen to it. I want you to seek me first. The commitment to make God number one in your life. Is He? If not, when? If not, when? The commitment to make God number one in your life. You ever heard the term one-way missionaries? Don't hear it anymore, but this is what they were called 100 years ago. As missionaries were going to their mission field, they would pack all of their earthly belongings in a coffin. And they would purchase a one-way ticket for the mission field, and they knew more than likely that they would be buried out there all alone by themselves on the mission field. One-way missionaries. Let me tell you about one of them, missionary A.W. Milne. Milne went to the New Hebrides Islands in the South Pacific. He knew that headhunters lived there, and those headhunters had killed every missionary before him. And Milne couldn't be stopped from his journey. You know why? He had already died to himself. He was fully committed. And for 35 years, he ministered among those villages. He shared the love of Jesus Christ with them, and he ministered to them in the powerful name of Jesus. When Milne died, the tribal members, they buried him in the middle of the village. Listen to this. This is the epitaph that they inscribed upon his tombstone. When he came, there was no light. When he left, there was no darkness. When he came, there was no light. When he left, there was no darkness. Why? Why could that be said? All because Milne, A.W. Milne, missionary to the New Hebrides Islands, had a heart that was fully committed to God. Hey, Jesus didn't die to make us safe or to make us cool or comfortable. He died to make us dangerous. People whose hearts are fully committed to Him, who will pull down the strongholds in the powerful name of Jesus, who will take what the enemy meant for evil and see God turn it around for good. When it seems like all hope is gone, they will lift their voices and say, but I know in whom I have believed, and I am persuaded that He is able to keep that which I have committed to Him. People whose hearts are fully committed to Him. Is your heart? Is your life fully committed to Him this morning? I mean, are we willing, really willing, to give God full veto power in our lives? Not what I want, not what I wish, not what I desire. Not my will, but Thy will be done. Are we really willing to not buy into the gospel, but rather sell out for the gospel of the kingdom? That whatever the cost and whatever the price, I am committed and I am persuaded that this is the most important thing my life could ever be about. That's what makes us cross-bearers. That's what makes you and I people of commitment. That is the power of commitments. My commitments show my values. My commitments shape my life. My commitments seal my destiny. That is the power of commitment. That's the power of a heart and life, your heart, my heart and life, that is fully committed to God. For the eyes of the Lord run to and fro throughout the whole earth, wanting to show Himself strong in behalf of them whose heart is fully committed to Him. The only thing Christianity cannot be is moderately important.